India is set to play a significant role in the future space economy, hoping to garner about 8% market share by 2033. Space has the power to transform life on Earth for the better in most respects, even helping us to probably mitigate climate change. And it already helps us in communications, smart devices, navigation, weather forecasting, disaster management, and the like. The global space industry is expected to be worth around $1.8 trillion US by 2035.
Space, once considered the final frontier, is now emerging as a potential solution to some of the world's most pressing challenges, from climate change to economic distress. This evolving role gives the space economy both purpose and promise. According to forecasts from the World Economic Forum and McKinsey, the global space economy could reach $1.8 trillion by 2035, with the possibility of growing as high as $2.3 trillion if access to data improves and the costs of space entry decrease. India's space economy too is expected to expand significantly, growing from its current value of around $8.4 billion to $44 billion by 2033. This growth is estimated to capture around 8% of the global space market, driven by increased investment, local manufacturing, and a supportive regulatory environment.
Production support industry is already giving, but ISRO want to make them learn the trick of how to build a reliable rocket and launch. That requires knowledge of how things are done, and that can be learned only by working with us.
Satellite technology underpins nearly every smart device on Earth, supporting everything from everyday communications to advanced navigation, disaster warnings, weather forecasting, and defense. Space technology can monitor methane leaks from aging industrial infrastructure and other sources. Companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin are promoting space tourism, making it accessible to the public. Asteroid mining for precious metals and other resources is also on the horizon, potentially offering materials for space construction and valuable resources to bring back to Earth. This emerging field could spur increased competition and innovation.
Competition is always healthy, but the point is that how is it run? How is that competition run? What is the end result of that competition? United Nations feels that space belongs to all humanity. So in that sense, it's not going to be very good to have small pockets who are going to be doing things only for themselves.
Microgravity environments in space offer unique advantages for manufacturing specialized materials and products, including advanced pharmaceuticals and high-precision components. Improved Earth observation capabilities will yield crucial data for environment protection. However, as Rakesh Sharma and other space travelers have noted, the Earth is too precious to be meddled with.
When you see the Earth from space, it has this effect called the overview effect. It makes you respect the Earth more because it's so beautiful. You can see its atmosphere is very thin, and you realize it's an island. So when you live on an island in a vast ocean, you need to take care of it. So I am much more respectful of the Earth.
The space economy is expected to see heightened collaboration between nations and private companies, driving innovation and mutual benefits. But this cooperation must carefully address the constraints or limits of space, like managing debris and preventing its weaponization. The Economic Brief, DD India.
And joining us via Zoom link is Lieutenant General retired Anil Bhatt. He is the Director General of the Indian Space Association. Thank you, General Bhatt. Is there an urgency, to use space more because the Earth is suffering from climate change?
There are two distinct usages of space. One is space for Earth, and that usage has already increased quite a bit. And this is some of what you mentioned for communication, for navigation, in disaster management, agriculture. This is where utilization of space, either by communication or Earth observation or PNT, is being done for enhancing activities on Earth, making it better. While the other part you are talking of is using resources of the space. that is asteroid mining, maybe going to the moon and having habitats there, having microgravity manufacturing in space, and who knows, even providing power to Earth, solar power through solar beams which will be a very clean fuel, far better than the fossil fuel. But in all these activities of asteroid mining, of all these activities, there are more disruptions in science which are required. It has to become much more cheaper to bring metals from space. Presently, the cost of a rocket launch and all does not permit it, but in the future, it will happen.
General Butt, how directed, should our priorities be? I mean, in exploiting the potential of space, because it is dangerous after all, and we seem to have a small window to try and utilize it to the best of our abilities.
Oh, yes, of course. Fortunately, thanks to ISRO and India being a spacefaring nation for the last 50, 60 years, gives us a distinct advantage. Within the country, we have a capability of launch vehicles, manufacturing satellites, and all applications in downstream. What the government has now done is, after they announced a new policy in 2020, they have allowed non-government entities, that is private players, startups, also to operate in space. And what is it providing is much more opportunity to make launch vehicles, make satellites, and making India a larger part of the global space economy. We are presently a meager 2.3% of the overall global economy. We aspire to reach 8 to 10%. That is about 44 billion by 2033.
Yes.
And of course, if the McKinsey figures are true, this figure would be far larger.
But, to what extent should private sector space companies use the space? Because should it be regulated in the sense, what extent can private players actually collaborate internationally as well?
So space is still controlled by the main treaty, which is of 1967 vintage. And when there was a strategic competition more for monitoring ballistic missiles. That treaty has held on till today. But now with much more larger number of satellites in space, there needs to be more new regulations internationally accepted to ensure that space does not become congested or contested. And initiatives are being taken where they are not formal agreements, but people are moving towards it. Like presently a satellite, after it finishes its life, it goes into the graveyard orbit, or it is just left into the space till the time it dies down. In the future, all nations who are sending satellites to space will have to have a commitment to be able to deorbit it,
okay,
or make it of a material that it self-destroys after it has done its service. Also, there are developments being taken place that on-orbit repairs of satellites can be carried out, that you don't have to send more and more satellites everywhere, and a satellite's life can be increased by providing more power to it, because primarily a satellite dies when the fuel gets over.
So
if
you
it can
say
be
that
refueled, it can live for longer.
So you say self-destruct is the best way to clear the debris?
Yes, or have an ability to come down on its own. After it has had its 5 years or 8 years, it deorbits and comes down to space.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, General Butt. Thank you for joining us and putting that into perspective for us.
Thank you.
Moving on to our next